It was started with the hope and intention to keep culture alive for future generations of Somalis that are growing up outside of Somalia. Today, the Somali Museum of Minnesota is celebrating their second anniversary, and I'm going to sit down with the owner and founder, an amazing man who's not only keeping a legacy for his 8 children, but all Somali children around the world to revive our culture and the arts. We'll welcome Osman Ali right after the break to Integration TV. This segment of Integration TV in Minneapolis brought to you by Global Real Estate. Call Rashid Mahamoud today for all your real estate needs. My visit to Minneapolis has been exciting, but nothing brings me more excitement than to be around amazing items from my home country of Somalia. I would like to welcome Osman Ali, who's the founder of the Somali Museum of Minnesota, to Integration TV, so we can learn about his passion to leave a legacy. Welcome to Integration.
We are welcoming you to Minneapolis for your first time, and welcome to Somali Museum of Minnesota. And thanks for coming and accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, and what a privilege it is to meet you, because I'm always amazed at Somalis that have a passion and they pursue it and they do something about what they want to see in the world. You know, I always say, be the change that you want to see in the world. So what inspired you to do this? This is amazing. Look at all this stuff here, guys. This is just phenomenal.
Thank you. This good question. So if you live with your community, you can tell what they are missing. And when you see to the young generation who born and raised here outside the Somalia, or those who grown up here, you can tell what they are missing, so that I found that they are almost, missing something about their culture.
Yes, what is that? Knowledge?
Knowledge, of course, the knowledge of their culture. And just they need to get educated, through their culture. So in 2009, I traveled to Somalia. And when I went to Somalia, I found those who live in Somalia themselves, the young generation, they don't have that much idea about the Somali culture because of the civil war, because of the displacement that they had, because of a lot of Somalis fled from the nomadic society to villages and big cities, and those in the big cities, they fled to other countries. So there was kind of circle of displacement in the country. And when they came here, they were living for a long time, most of them born here and raised, and I saw that they have no much, knowledge about their, culture. So I tried to
But part of it is that a lot of the stuff was destroyed, right? It's almost like the war happened and we were destroyed as people.
Absolutely. There was 2 major things happened to them. Most of the museums, all the museums we had back home has been destroyed. And most of the artifacts and the things that we have, in the museum has been stolen. And some of them, has been, spread through the whole world. So
what are some of the stuff that you would say is highly prized that was stolen from the museum in Somalia?
Everything we had.
By the way, I'm so glad you introduced me to the gentleman that was the director in Mogadishu, the museum. He lives in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
This is Mini Mogadishu.
The first Somali museum director, he lives in Minneapolis right now.
Amazing, what a legacy.
And the reason I start to preserve something for the youth, for the new generations, is the time I start traveling to Somalia, and my first collection was started in 2009. Then we start to have a mobile museum of 2011, and we opened the first space for the Somali Museum of Minnesota.
What did it feel like that day when the doors opened for you?
We were so excited about that night when we have the event that day, and we invited everyone in Minnesota at least. We send message to anyone we know.
What about for your dream that you visualized this? Because I know that you probably were like bringing back one artifact and you're like, one day I'm going to make a museum, I'm going to do this. When that actually happened, what did that feel like?
The time I brought the first collection to Minnesota,
that's because Somali ma jeclan ka hadlaan feelings. I know. Just say I felt amazing. It was great.
Of course, it was something
it's
that
not normal to show emotion. I know. It's okay.
I was absolutely emotional that day. I'm serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing, right?
Amazing. It was so amazing. So we get that day like 700 visitors to the space. And 300 of them, they were non-Somalis, and 400, were Somalis.
Amazing.
So that day was our great, day, and we felt a lot of pressure, and we were so emotional that day when we couldn't even believe that we can get all these people to come and visit the museum for the first time.
Amazing. So I know you're going to give me a tour shortly, but just tell me what's next for the museum.
Next to the museum,
what's your next plans?
To move from this space we are in, because we have a lot of stuff in storage.
Yeah, I've seen all the boxes too.
And a lot of boxes in the other rooms. And we rented other spaces just to keep the stuff there. And we are looking for a bigger space to have a big museum. The most important thing we were focusing on is to educate the young generation who born and raised here, and educate them with their culture and connect them with their families. When they get connected with their families with this, amazing culture, then the families will be educated more with their culture. So we're trying to educate the whole community with the Somali culture and connect the Somali community with other communities to learn from each other. When they learn from each other, they're gonna create a good environment and peace and love in between them.
People outside of our community, they don't know we come from such a rich culture. Wouldn't you say so?
We are from a rich culture country that what we live with back home with the culture, and they respect the culture. And one of the examples I'm going to give you about our culture is when someone is traveling from distance to distance and he don't have any food with him, he don't carry any food with him because he knows that he's going to get a food, drink, water, milk, anything he wants. So he depends on who's going to be on his way. So he travel, and whenever he stop by any family, they feed him well. And if it happen, any family, they don't have anything for him, they feel like shameful to them, and they feel that they didn't do their part of the culture.
Somalinimo?
Somalinimo.
Yes, I love that word.
That's Somalinimo. Iyo martisoornimo.
Martisoornimo, mashallah.
Siday isu martisoori jireen.
Yes. So in a year or two, we could see a bigger space, more expanded collection.
Absolutely.
And I think all Somali millionaires around the world, you guys should sponsor a room, each one of you, and continue this legacy, because our children in the West, in 25 years, we've lost our language, we don't know our culture, and you know all the troubles that are facing our community everywhere we go. This is a way to keep a legacy going. Every culture understands the importance of preserving their culture and their artifacts. And it's time that Somalis go back to that, inshallah. And I thank you so much for joining us and sharing your passion to do and make a difference for Somalis, because it's all about the action.
Thank you so much, Hodan Aliyah, and thanks for your interviewing us and visiting the Somali Museum. And thanks for your donation to us. Your media is kind of unbelievable donation for us.
Thank you so much. We all can do it together.
Right.
We'll be back right after these messages with our tour of the Somali Museum of Minnesota. Maybe I'll put on an outfit. See you in a minute. This segment of Integration TV in Minneapolis brought to you by Global Real Estate. Call Rashid Mahmoud today for all your real estate needs.
So, my name is Mahmoud Osman Mohammed, and I am the art administrator of the Somali Artifact and Cultural Museum. So right now we're going to go ahead and give you a tour, and the first stop will be the War Room. This right here is the War Room, and you cannot mention war without mentioning Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. Muhammad Abdullah Hassan was a freedom fighter and also a military leader. He was also known as the Mad Mullah. All these weapons you see right here were used during the war. Here you have swords. This right here is called the quiver. This right here is a shield. Now these shields differ. One is made out of wood, and this one, believe it or not, is made out of a rhino. If you come down this way, this plane right here was used by the British to use it against the Mad Mullah in the 1920s, a long time ago. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and check out the next room. So next room is the religion room / the caring for the camel room. So I'm gonna go ahead and have Sarah explain to you what this side is all about.
Great. And I'm Sarah Larson, and I serve as outreach director here. So a lot of what I do is connecting the Somali Museum to the broader communities and building bridges to non-Somalis and other immigrant groups. So for me, it has been such a big learning experience. So I'll do my best to show you what I've learned about Somali culture so far. But one thing I know is that here we have all the different parts of caring for camels. And camels are just the pride and joy and most important part of life for the Somali nomads. So as you come in here, you can imagine yourself with this being some of the landscape and all these different ways that you would see a camel. So some of them relaxing, a camel like this, all loaded up, ready to go, because the nomads move from place to place. So you'd actually pack up your home and all of your things onto the camel like that and move from place to place. Yeah, and one of the things that I love especially about being in this room is that you can experience it. So if you can imagine being in Somalia and you hear that sound, that's the sound. Can you guess what kind of animal is going to use that?
The cow? Just kidding. I'm Somali.
For a camel, it's a camel belt. And the Somali word for that is kor. So there's different names for the big ones and the small ones. But also different camels are going to use the different ones. So maybe one camel is the leader of the herd, and they have a low sound one, and a little baby troublemaker camel has a little bell like this so that when they run away, you can go find them again. And I've heard some stories from people who come in here and they look at these pictures and they say, oh, I remember growing up in Somalia when I was a little child, if I heard this sound, then I knew that Dad was coming home with the herds for the day. I could hear that in the distance.